Your phone shatters on the pavement, and suddenly your entire day feels completely thrown off. That single moment of frustration can start to unravel hours, leaving you feeling like your reactions are in control. But what if you had a simple mental tool to stop that spiral before it even gets going? The ancient philosophy of Stoicism offers exactly that, a practical toolkit not for ignoring emotion, but for mastering your perspective. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor who dealt with immense pressures, wrote in his private journal, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." This idea is at the heart of steady personal growth. By the end of this guide, you will have a clear set of mental exercises to help rewire your reactions to stress and build lasting resilience. We will explore how specific Stoic principles can turn daily irritations into opportunities for strength. How can a simple shift in viewpoint create such a deep change in your life? This single principle acts as the bedrock for every other Stoic practice. It is called the Dichotomy of Control, a simple but profound mental sorting mechanism. The core idea is that some things are within our power and others simply are not. Our own judgments, the values we choose to hold, and the actions we decide to take, these are entirely up to us. Everything else, from the weather to the opinions of other people, lies outside our direct command. The Stoic teacher Epictetus opens his handbook with this very point, stating that our own opinions and pursuits are within our control, while our bodies, our possessions, and our reputations are not. Why does this matter so much for your growth? When you begin to consciously separate the world into these two categories, you stop wasting precious energy fighting the unfightable. Anxiety flourishes in the gray area where we feel responsible for things we cannot actually change. Think about a sudden change at work, like a critical project deadline being moved up without warning. The new deadline itself is an external. It is outside your control, but your internal response, your decision to reorganize your tasks, your focus on doing the best work possible in the allotted time, that is entirely within your sphere of power. By focusing your effort only on what you can influence, you transform a chaotic situation into a manageable challenge. So take a quiet moment and bring to mind 3 current concerns. Write them down if you can. Now, honestly ask yourself for each one, is this within my complete control, or is it not? This act of categorization is the first and most vital step toward reclaiming your mental space. How often do you feel your problems are the center of the universe? This feeling of being overwhelmed by our own personal challenges is universal, and the Stoics developed a powerful mental exercise to dissolve it, known as the view from above. It is a deliberate shift in perspective, a way of mentally zooming out to see your life as one small part of a vast and interconnected whole. When you do this, the scale of your troubles naturally diminishes. Marcus Aurelius frequently practiced this, reminding himself in his meditations to think of the entire cosmos, of the immense span of time behind you and ahead of you. He wrote of how all our busy anxieties are mere specks in the grand theater of existence. He would visualize the countless cities and lives that have risen and fallen, realizing his own concerns were but a brief flash. To try this for yourself, find a quiet moment and close your eyes. Begin by picturing yourself in the room you are in. Then, in your mind's eye, float upward. See the building you are in, then your entire neighborhood or city, laid out below like a map. Keep pulling back, see your country, then the entire continent, until you can envision the whole planet, a beautiful blue and green sphere hanging in the profound silence of space. From this cosmic vantage point, notice how your pressing problem feels different. It has not vanished, but its weight has changed. It is no longer the center of everything, but one small event in a much larger story. The next time a challenge feels all-consuming, remember you have this tool. Step back, take that cosmic view, and return to your life with a calmer, more grounded mind. Love your fate. This powerful command, the direct translation of Amor Fati, calls for more than just enduring life's difficulties. It is an active, wholehearted embrace of every single event, especially the obstacles, as absolutely necessary for your development. This Stoic principle transforms challenges from punishments into your most potent fuel for growth. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, who drew deeply from Stoic thought, later captured this spirit perfectly when he wrote, "My formula for greatness in a human being is Amor Fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity." This is not about pretending a hardship feels good. It is about recognizing that every experience, especially the painful ones, carves out a deeper capacity for strength and understanding within you. Think of a job interview that did not lead to an offer, a moment that can feel like a direct personal rejection. The standard reaction is disappointment, perhaps even a blow to your confidence. But through the lens of Amor Fati, this event is reframed as a redirection. Perhaps that particular role would have limited your creativity, or the company culture was not the right fit. The outcome creates space for a better opportunity to arrive, one that aligns more closely with your true path. It becomes the necessary training that builds your resilience for the next attempt. So what recent setback can you begin to see not as a failure, but as a hidden gift in disguise? We are often told to just think positive, to push away any thought of what could possibly go wrong. But the Stoics took a different path, one that seems counterintuitive at first, yet is far more powerful for building unshakable resilience. They practiced a form of mental preparation, a disciplined exercise of rehearsing potential challenges, not to dwell on fear, but to strip future hardships of their power to shock and paralyze you. The Roman philosopher Seneca explored this deeply in his letters, advising his friend Lucilius to regularly contemplate life's potential transitions. He wrote that we should imagine ourselves facing difficult circumstances, confronting periods of scarcity, and moving through times of sorrow in our minds before they ever happen in reality. The goal is not to create anxiety, but to demonstrate to yourself in advance that you have the capacity to respond with virtue and strength no matter what occurs. Think of an upcoming difficult conversation you are nervous about, perhaps with a colleague or a family member. Instead of hoping it goes perfectly, take a few minutes to honestly visualize it going poorly. Picture the other person becoming defensive or dismissive. Now, in your mind's eye, see yourself responding not with anger or frustration, but with a calm and rational clarity. You plan your words, you focus on listening, and you commit to acting with integrity regardless of their reaction. By mentally walking through this scenario, you are not inviting it to happen. You are strengthening yourself against the surprise of the unexpected. You are building a preemptive plan for your own character. So what is one known challenge on your horizon this week? Take a moment right now to close your eyes and mentally rehearse your calm and virtuous response. See yourself navigating it with wisdom. This mental preparation is how you turn potential stumbling blocks into stepping stones. Your first flash of anger is not a command. It is merely a suggestion, a raw and unexamined piece of information that your mind offers you. The Stoics called this an impression, and learning to see it for what it is might be the most freeing skill you ever develop. This practice is known as cognitive distancing, the simple act of pausing to name your initial reaction before you let it become your truth. Epictetus, the former slave turned profound teacher, laid this out with absolute clarity. He taught that people are troubled not by things themselves, but by the views which they take of them. The event is neutral. It is your judgment about the event that carries the emotional weight. By creating a small gap between the stimulus and your response, you create space for choice. Consider that critical email from a colleague. Your initial impression might be a hot surge of defensiveness, a story forming instantly in your mind about their lack of consideration or your own perceived shortcomings. Without cognitive distancing, that impression becomes your reality, and you fire off a reply you will likely regret. But with this tool, you pause, you take a breath and silently say to yourself, "This feeling of frustration is just my initial impression." It is not a fact, it is one possible interpretation. In that moment, you have not suppressed the emotion, you have simply refused to be swept away by its first, most primitive form. You have given yourself the freedom to choose a wiser, more measured response. The next time a strong feeling rises within you, try this simple phrase. "This is just my initial impression." Watch how it creates a pocket of calm, a moment of clarity where your better judgment can finally take the lead. Even our most dedicated plans can unravel through no fault of our own. You can pour your entire being into a goal, do everything perfectly right, and still find the outcome slipping from your grasp. This is not a sign that your effort was wasted, but a fundamental truth of life the Stoics prepared for with a powerful mental tool called the reserve clause. Think of it as a silent addendum you attach to every single one of your endeavors, a quiet understanding that you will act with virtue and give your absolute best, while peacefully accepting that the final result is not fully in your hands. The philosopher Seneca beautifully captured this mindset when he wrote that the wise person plans their life as if they will be fortunate, all the while knowing that fate may intervene. They commit to their actions, but they hold the specific outcomes lightly. This is not a recipe for apathy, but for profound inner freedom. It protects you from the crushing weight of frustration when things do not go as you hoped, because your primary measure of success shifts from the external result to the quality of your own effort. Consider the dedicated runner who trains for a marathon for months, following every rule of preparation, only to face an unexpected setback the week before the race. Their virtuous effort, the discipline and commitment they showed, remains untarnished and valuable. The outcome of running the race, however, was ultimately beyond their complete control. By having practiced the reserve clause, they can acknowledge the disappointment without letting it define their entire journey or diminish their self-worth. Their focus remains on the part they could command, their own dedication, which builds a deeper, more resilient character ready for the next challenge. So where in your own life can you begin to apply more intense focus to the purity of your effort and release the anxious grip you have on the final result? That sense of isolation, of feeling like you are fighting your battles entirely alone, is a weight so many of us carry. The ancient Stoics offered a radical antidote to this modern loneliness, a principle known as Sympatheia. It is the profound understanding that we are not isolated islands, but deeply interconnected parts of a single, universal community of rational beings. Shifting your perspective to see yourself as a vital piece of this larger whole fundamentally changes how you relate to everyone around you. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself of this truth, writing in his personal reflections that rational beings are made for cooperation, like the coordinated parts of a single body. He observed that when one part of the body acts, it is for the benefit of the whole, a beautiful analogy for our own social existence. When you begin to internalize this, the person who cut you off in traffic or the colleague who frustrates you is no longer just an adversary. They become a fellow human, flawed and complex, navigating their own difficult path just as you are navigating yours. The next time you find yourself in a conflict, pause and try this simple reframe. Look past the irritating behavior and see the person. Consider their struggles, their fears, their own desire for happiness, which is so much like your own. This is not about excusing poor behavior, but about dissolving the illusion of separation that fuels so much of our frustration. Can you think of a recent disagreement where viewing the other person as a member of your shared human community might have softened your reaction? This shift from isolation to interconnection is a quiet revolution in how you move through the world. Our minds are so often lost in two places that do not even exist, the unchangeable past and the imaginary future. We exhaust ourselves with yesterday's regrets and tomorrow's anxieties, leaving very little energy for the only time that is truly real, this present moment. The Stoics saw this mental time travel as the source of much of our unease, and they prescribed a gentle shift, a complete return to the here and now. Epictetus offered a simple but profound reminder: do not be disturbed by the future, for if it comes, you will have the same reason to handle it that you have now. You are equipped for the present, not for a phantom that may never arrive. Seneca echoed this with a powerful observation on the fleeting nature of life, writing that we are not given a short life, but we make it short by wasting much of it. We postpone our living as if the present were some temporary waiting room for the real performance to begin. But the present is the performance, the only stage upon which you can actually act. To practice this, choose the most simple task you can find, like washing a single plate. For the next 5 minutes, do not just clean the dish, be entirely with it. Feel the warmth of the water on your skin. Notice the texture of the soap bubbles and the sound they make. See the way the light reflects off the clean surface. When your mind wanders to a conversation from yesterday or a meeting tomorrow, gently guide it back to the sensation of the sponge in your hand. In that focused engagement, you are not just washing a dish, you are reclaiming your life from the rush of time itself. What if the very definition of success you are chasing is the source of your deepest anxiety? This is not a hypothetical question, but the entry point to one of the most liberating ideas in Stoic philosophy, the concept that virtue is the sole good. The Stoics drew a radical line in the sand, declaring that only our inner character, our wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline qualifies as truly good. Everything else we typically desire, from wealth and social standing to physical health, they classified as preferred indifference, things that are nice to have but are not essential to a good life because they are not entirely within our control. Epictetus laid this foundation with unshakable clarity, reminding his students that our own choices, our judgments, and our desires are within our power, while our body, our property, and our reputation are not. When you internalize this distinction, your entire relationship with ambition transforms. Consider the pursuit of a promotion. If your primary goal is the external reward, the higher salary, and the more impressive title, you have tied your happiness and self-worth to an outcome you cannot guarantee. You might act with excellence, but your peace of mind is held hostage by a decision made in a boardroom. Now shift the focus. What if you pursued the same promotion as an exercise in virtue itself? You cultivate the courage to take on greater responsibility. You practice justice by leading your team with fairness. You apply wisdom to solve complex problems, and you exercise temperance by managing your time and energy effectively. In this scenario, your success is measured not by the final outcome, but by the quality of your effort and the strength of your character throughout the process. The promotion becomes a preferred indifferent, a welcome addition if it comes, but never the core of your achievement. So look at the main project occupying your mind right now. Setting aside the external result you hope for, what would it mean to pursue it virtuously? What specific actions would demonstrate courage, wisdom, justice and self-control in your daily work. This subtle but profound reorientation turns every endeavor into a training ground for your character, building a resilience that no external circumstance can ever take from you. Your own judgments color every single event you experience, layering a story of fear or desire over what is actually happening. This is where the Stoic practice of objective representation becomes your most clarifying tool, a mental discipline of seeing things as they truly are, stripped bare of all emotional drama. Marcus Aurelius was a master of this, constantly reminding himself in his private writings to break down any pleasant or disturbing impression into its most basic physical parts. He would describe a delicious meal not as a wonderful indulgence, but as the natural elements that compose it, the simple parts of what was once living. This was not for pessimism, but for truth, to see the reality beneath the attractive surface and free himself from being controlled by it. You can apply this same dispassionate lens to any situation that triggers a strong reaction. Take a traffic jam that is making you late. The immediate, subjective story is one of frustration, a disrupted schedule, a personal challenge. But the objective representation is far simpler and far less charged. It is a line of stationary vehicles on a paved surface. That is all it is. By describing it to yourself in these plain, factual terms, you drain the emotional intensity from the event. The situation has not changed, but your relationship to it has been fundamentally altered. The next time you feel a wave of annoyance, pause and perform this simple act of redescription. Take that critical comment from a coworker. The subjective story paints it as an attack, a sign of friction. The objective representation is a series of words arranged in a sentence, communicated through text or sound. This is not about ignoring the meaning, but about first grounding yourself in the neutral facts before you choose your response. In that space of clear seeing, your wiser judgment can take over, allowing you to act from a place of calm intention rather than raw, unexamined reaction. But that relentless pursuit of more can quietly drain the joy from the life you are already living. The Stoic path to contentment is not about acquiring the next thing, but about fully possessing what is already yours. It is a profound shift from chasing desires to cultivating a deep appreciation for your present reality. Seneca, in his work on the happy life, cuts directly to the heart of this, stating that true wealth is a mind content with little. This is not a call for poverty, but a declaration of independence from the belief that your happiness is waiting in some future purchase or achievement. Contentment is found in the quiet space where you realize you already have enough. To build this habit, try a simple nightly reflection. Just before you sleep, bring to mind 3 things from your day that went well, or 3 things you are genuinely grateful for. They do not need to be grand. It could be the warmth of your morning drink, a moment of shared laughter, or the simple comfort of your bed. This practice actively rewires your focus, training your mind to spot the abundance that was there all along. So take a moment right now and mentally list 5 things you usually take for granted, but are truly fortunate to have. Your health, your senses, the roof over your head, the people who care for you, the very air you breathe. When you consciously want what you already have, you break the cycle of endless wanting and discover a wealth that no external circumstance can ever take away. An obstacle is not a wall, it is a door. This is the core of a perspective shift that turns stumbling blocks into stepping stones. The Stoics taught that every single impediment we face is not merely a problem to be endured, but a direct invitation to practice a specific virtue. A difficult person becomes your training ground for patience. An unexpected financial setback calls for the virtue of creativity and resourcefulness. A personal health situation asks for the quiet strength of courage. This is proactive perspective shifting at its most potent. Marcus Aurelius, governing an empire in constant turmoil, wrote these powerful words in his private journal: "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." He was not ignoring the reality of the hardship, but reframing its very purpose in his life. History offers a profound example in the philosopher Seneca, who was asked to spend time away from Rome on the island of Corsica. This period could have been seen as an end to his public life and influence. Yet Seneca chose to see this situation as a path. He used those years not for bitterness, but for intensive writing and philosophical reflection, producing some of his most enduring works that would inspire generations long after his return. The challenge itself became the fuel for his greatest contributions. So look at the difficulty directly in front of you right now. Identify one current obstacle in your life. Now ask yourself this essential question: not why is this happening to me, but what quality does this situation invite me to practice? Does it demand patience or perhaps a deeper resilience? Does it require the creativity to find a new solution? By answering this, you stop fighting the obstacle and start using it, transforming it from a source of frustration into the very material for your growth. Life is long if you know how to use it. Seneca offered this powerful insight not as a denial of our limited time, but as a key to unlocking its true potential. The Stoic practice of Memento Mori, which means remember you must one day transition, is the ultimate perspective shifter for doing exactly that. This is not a dark fixation, but a vibrant tool for creating urgency, gratitude, and profound clarity about what truly deserves your energy. Seneca argued in his letters that it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a great deal of it. We postpone our most meaningful work and delay our heartfelt conversations, acting as if we have an endless supply of tomorrows. Remembering the reality of our own journeys shatters that illusion, pulling our focus from trivial worries and aligning our actions with our deepest values. Think of a petty argument you recently had, a clash over a minor opinion or a perceived slight. Now, hold that same situation in your mind while also holding the gentle awareness that your time is finite. From this vantage point, does the argument still feel worth the emotional energy it consumed? The heat of the moment cools, and what remains is the clear understanding of what actually matters, the relationships you cherish and the person you aspire to be. This awareness can also be the catalyst that finally pushes you to begin. That project you have been dreaming about, that difficult but necessary conversation, that creative pursuit you keep putting off, all gain a new and immediate importance when viewed through the lens of your own story. So ask yourself this clarifying question, not with fear, but with a sense of purpose. If I knew for certain I had 1 year left to live, what one thing would I start doing today, and what one thing would I stop? Your honest answer is a direct map to the life you are meant to be living right now. That initial flash of judgment happens in an instant, a silent story your mind tells you about what is happening right now. You see a colleague's brief email and instantly label it as dismissive. You notice a change in a friend's tone and decide they are upset with you. These automatic interpretations feel like absolute truth, but they are merely one possible version of events, and often the most unhelpful one. The Stoics understood this deeply, and they prescribed a powerful antidote, the conscious act of suspending your judgment. This is not about ignoring reality, but about refusing to immediately stamp an event with a label of good or bad. You create a vital space between what happens and the story you tell yourself about it. Epictetus offered the core teaching, stating that people are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. The event itself is neutral. It is your judgment that layers on the emotional weight. Consider a simple, modern scenario. You send a thoughtful text to a close friend and receive no reply for an entire day. The automatic judgment might paint a story of intentional neglect, of your message being unimportant, or even of a hidden conflict. This story, entirely fabricated in your own mind, can fuel a whole day of quiet anxiety or frustration. Now apply the practice of judgment suspension. The objective fact is simple: your friend has not replied to your text. That is all you know for certain. By consciously refusing to layer the negative story on top of that bare fact, you prevent the emotional spiral before it can even begin. Perhaps they are unusually busy, their phone battery died, or they are simply gathering their thoughts for a more meaningful response later. The situation remains exactly the same, but your internal experience of it is now calm and open rather than troubled. Tomorrow, make it a quiet personal experiment. Choose one single moment where you feel that quick, automatic judgment arise, whether about a news headline, a stranger's expression, or a comment from a family member. In that moment, pause, take one conscious breath and silently acknowledge, I am having a judgment about this. Then, see if you can simply let the judgment hang there without grabbing onto it as the truth. In that small space of non-reaction, you will find a profound freedom, the freedom to choose your response instead of being chosen by your first impression. Your craving for approval and your fear of criticism are often the very roots of your distress. This powerful insight from the Stoic teacher Epictetus points directly to a source of so much of our daily struggle, the endless pursuit of things that lie beyond our command. The Stoics offered a meaningful remedy for this, a mental training they called the discipline of desire. This is the practice of consciously reshaping what you want, training your deepest yearnings to align not with fleeting external rewards, but with your own virtuous character and the rational nature of the world. It is a profound internal shift from wanting to control outcomes to wanting to act with excellence, no matter the result. Think about the deep-seated wish for everyone to like you. This is a painful and exhausting goal because the opinions of others are fundamentally outside your sphere of influence. You can be the kindest, most considerate person and still encounter someone who misunderstands you or simply does not connect with you. Chasing this uncontrollable desire is a recipe for constant anxiety. Now, reframe that want through the discipline of desire. Shift your primary goal from being liked to acting with integrity and kindness in every interaction. This new desire is entirely within your power. You can choose to be fair, you can choose to be honest, you can choose to be compassionate. Your success is now measured by your own actions, not by the unpredictable reactions of other people. This transforms you from a prisoner of external validation into the author of your own moral worth. So take a moment and identify one desire in your own life that consistently brings you frustration. Perhaps it is the wish for a specific promotion or for a particular person to change their behavior. Now, courageously ask yourself, is this truly within my control? If the answer is no, then reframe it. What virtuous action could you wish for instead? If you want the promotion, desire instead to work with such dedication and skill that you become the most qualified candidate. If you want someone to change, wish instead to respond to them with unshakable patience and understanding. By aligning your wants with what you can actually command, you build an inner citadel of peace that no external circumstance can ever breach. We instinctively search for a pattern behind the chaos, a reason for the unexpected turns our lives take. The Stoics answered this deep human need with a profound trust in a rational universe, a guiding intelligence they called the Logos. They believed that everything, from the grandest cosmic event to the smallest personal challenge, unfolds according to a meaningful order, even when its purpose remains hidden from our limited view. Adopting this perspective is not about blind faith, but about choosing to see life's events as threads in a larger tapestry whose full design you cannot yet see. This shift replaces a struggle against reality with a calm and willing cooperation. Marcus Aurelius reinforced this daily, writing in his personal notes, "Accept whatever comes to you woven in the pattern of your destiny, for what could more aptly fit your needs." He trained himself to see every occurrence, even difficulty or change, as something life had brought him, and therefore something he could work with. You have likely experienced a faint echo of this trust in your own life, a phenomenon we often call hindsight. Think back to a relationship that shifted unexpectedly, a job you did not get, or a plan that fell completely apart. In the moment, it felt like a pure disappointment, but with time, you may have seen how that very event cleared the path for a better connection, a more fulfilling career, or a crucial personal lesson you needed to learn. The difficulty was not random, it was necessary. It was the universe's way of guiding you toward a destination you could not have chosen for yourself. So bring to mind one of those past challenges that now, in retrospect, you can view as a hidden gift. What did that seemingly negative event make space for in your life? This exercise in reflection builds the muscle of trust, teaching you to meet current uncertainties not with fear, but with a quiet curiosity for what the pattern will ultimately reveal. Your mind is the one place no external storm can ever truly breach without your permission. This is the heart of the Stoic concept of the Inner Citadel, a fortress of reason you build within yourself, brick by brick, through the deliberate practice of perspective shifting. It is not about hiding from the world, but about establishing an unshakable mental sovereignty where your peace is governed by your own judgments, not by the chaos outside your walls. Marcus Aurelius, amidst the immense pressures of leading an empire, would practice this by mentally withdrawing into this inner stronghold. He wrote in his meditations that you have the power to retire into yourself whenever you desire, for nowhere can a person find a more peaceful and trouble-free retreat than in their own soul. This retreat is not an escape from reality, but a return to the core of your own reasoned character. Imagine you are giving a public presentation, and someone in the audience begins to voice strong criticism. The immediate, unfortified reaction might be a surge of concern, a feeling of personal disappointment, a story that your work is not quite right. But when you have been building your inner citadel, your response is different. You can mentally step back from the noise and retreat into the knowledge of your own intentions. You know you prepared diligently. You know you acted with integrity and shared what you believed was valuable. The critic's words, however pointed, are now just sounds in a room, external events that cannot touch the truth of your own character unless you grant them entry. Your calm is no longer dependent on their approval, but rooted in your own self-possession. So what is one belief or practice you can begin to strengthen today to better fortify your own inner citadel against the next unexpected challenge? That slow burn of frustration begins in your chest, a quiet heat that spreads until your vision seems to narrow. Someone has cut you in line, a partner has forgotten a promise, a stranger's careless comment feels like a personal insult. In that moment, anger feels like a righteous fire, a necessary force to set the world right again. But the Stoics saw this emotion in a starkly different light. Seneca, in his powerful essay on anger, called it a brief insanity, a temporary state that seizes us when we make a single, flawed judgment, the belief that we have been intentionally wronged. He wrote that no challenge has cost the human race more dearly, describing its effects as a force that leaves difficulty in its wake. Anger is a confession that you have lost the path of reason, trading your inner peace for a chaotic storm you cannot control. The perspective shift here is profound. It requires you to step back from the heat and question the very story you are telling yourself. That person who offended you was likely acting not from harmful intent, but from a place of their own lack of awareness or personal struggle. They are not a villain in your story, but a flawed human being, just as you are, navigating a difficult world. This is not about excusing poor behavior, but about understanding its source to disarm its power over you. The next time you feel that familiar heat rising, practice this simple Stoic technique of delay. Make a conscious promise to yourself that you will not act or speak from this feeling for the next hour or even just 10 minutes. Use that purchased time to apply reason. Ask yourself, what is the underlying judgment here? Am I absolutely certain I was wronged with harmful intent? Is my reaction serving me, or is it controlling me? By inserting this space between the spark and the blaze, you give your wiser self a chance to calm the situation with clarity. So think back to the last time anger truly took hold of you. What was the core judgment you made in that moment, the story of unfairness you believed to be true? And how might that story change if you viewed the other person not as an adversary, but as someone who simply did not know a better way? Our relentless chase for an easy life might be the very thing weakening our capacity to truly live. The Stoics proposed a counterintuitive training for the soul, a practice they called voluntary discomfort. This is the deliberate and occasional choice to step away from ease, to embrace a little cold, a little hunger, or a little simplicity, not as a form of self-punishment, but as a powerful exercise in perspective shifting. The Stoic teacher Musonius Rufus championed this idea, arguing that just as athletes must train their bodies for competition, we must train our souls for the challenges of life through practice with difficulty. He taught that comfort and ease are not the aim, but rather a strong and resilient character, shaped through exposure to manageable challenges. Think of taking a cold shower instead of a warm one. The initial feeling is not pleasant, but as you stand under that cool water, you are doing far more than just cleaning your body. You are training your mind to meet unease with calm acceptance. You are showing yourself that you can handle a minor physical test without complaint or collapse. The same principle applies to skipping a single meal you normally eat out of routine, not necessity. In that space of slight hunger, you are not weakening yourself. You are rediscovering the simple truth that you can move through it. You are actively building a layer of resilience between you and life's inevitable bumps. More than just building strength, this practice sharpens your gratitude to a fine point. By voluntarily stepping into a state of less, you return to your normal life with fresh eyes, suddenly aware of the incredible luxury of a warm bed, a full pantry, or a comfortable chair. The comfort you once took for granted becomes a conscious gift. So for this week, what one small act of voluntary discomfort can you plan? Perhaps it is a 5-minute walk in cooler weather without a jacket, or a decision to leave your phone behind for an afternoon. This is not about deprivation, it is about a quiet and deliberate rehearsal for your own strength. Your personal growth was never meant to be a private treasure. The Stoics saw individual progress as intrinsically linked to a larger purpose, a responsibility to contribute to the world around you. This is the final and perhaps most profound perspective shift, moving from a life focused on what you can get to one centered on what you can give. They called this living in accordance with universal law, which simply means using your unique gift of reason to act for the benefit of the entire human community. Marcus Aurelius framed this as a sacred duty, writing in his Meditations, "What brings no benefit to the hive brings none to the bee." Your own fulfillment is found not in isolation, but in how your actions serve the collective good. This shift redefines success itself. Instead of asking what is in it for me, you begin to ask a far more powerful question: how can I be of service? Consider the simple act of performing a good deed entirely without recognition. Perhaps you pay for the coffee of the person behind you in line without them knowing, or you leave a small, encouraging note in a public place for a stranger to find. In that moment, there is no external reward, no social acknowledgement, no thank you. The entire value of the action is contained within the act itself and the quiet feeling it generates within you. That internal warmth, that subtle sense of alignment with something larger than your own desires, is the true signature of living according to this universal principle. Your challenge is to perform one small, unrecognized act of kindness this week. It does not need to be grand. Pay close attention not to the outcome, but to the internal shift you experience, the quiet fulfillment that arises from contributing to the hive without any expectation of a return. This is where personal growth blossoms into a legacy. Striving for total control is a recipe for endless anxiety. The secret to a genuine sense of mastery lies not in tightening your grip, but in consciously letting go of everything outside your command. This is the beautiful paradox at the heart of the dichotomy of control. When you stop fighting the unfightable, your energy consolidates into a powerful force for the things you can actually influence. The ancient teacher Epictetus offered a perfect image for this, comparing a person to a skilled fisherman. He noted that the fisherman can control only his own cast, the precision of his technique, and the strength of his line. He has no power over the fish themselves, the movement of the water, or the final outcome of his efforts. His entire focus must be on the quality of his own actions, releasing his attachment to the result. This is the essence of inner freedom. Think of a musician walking onto a stage, their stomach knotted with nerves. Their anxiety stems from a deep desire to control the audience's reaction, to receive thunderous applause and universal approval. This is an impossible task, a burden that tightens their voice and stiffens their fingers. Now, imagine that same performer making a profound internal shift. They release the need for a specific outcome and pour their entire being into the purity of their performance, the emotion in each note, and their own connection to the music. In that moment, they are no longer a person seeking validation. They are an artist in full command of their craft. The performance may still be met with silence or with cheers, but the performer's peace is no longer tied to it. Their success was in the act of sharing their gift with integrity. So look closely at your own life. Where are you exhausting yourself by trying to command the uncommandable? Identify one single area, perhaps a project at work or a relationship at home, where you are clinging tightly to a specific result. What would it feel like to loosen that grip, to invest your absolute best effort while peacefully accepting that the final outcome is not yours to decide? In that release, you do not lose control, you discover it. You feel the same frustration today that you did last week, the sense that you are not moving forward quickly enough. This impatience with our own progress can feel like a quiet struggle, a feeling that our efforts are not bearing fruit as soon as we might hope. The Stoics offer a powerful perspective for this modern rush, a principle they called the long view. This is the understanding that true character, like a mighty oak, is not grown in a single season. It is built through the quiet accumulation of small, consistent acts of virtue, practiced day after day, often without any visible reward. Seneca, in his writings on the nature of time, observed that time reveals truth and that our inner qualities, like a fine wine, develop slowly through the years. He reminds us that we must grant our personal growth the same patience we would grant a young plant, trusting the process of development even when it happens beneath the surface. Think of a towering tree in a forest. Its strength does not come from a sudden burst. It comes from the slow, persistent work of its roots, reaching deeper into the earth season after season, drawing nourishment and securing its foundation against coming weather. Your own growth follows the same natural rhythm. Each time you pause before reacting in anger, each time you choose gratitude over complaint, each time you act with integrity when no one is watching, you are sending another root downward. You may not feel taller tomorrow, but your stability is increasing in a way that will support you for a lifetime. So what is one small, almost effortless Stoic practice you can commit to each day for the next month? Perhaps it is that morning moment of recalling what is within your control, or the nightly reflection on 3 things you did well. Commit to this single action without any expectation of a dramatic, overnight transformation. Trust instead in the quiet, cumulative power of the long view, and watch as your patience with yourself becomes the very ground in which lasting strength can grow. A compliment can lift your spirits for hours, while a harsh word might linger for days. We hand over our inner peace to the opinions of others so easily, letting their words become the mirror in which we judge our own worth. The Stoics offer a thoughtful alternative, a practice of seeing both praise and criticism for what they truly are, not as truths but as external events, as passing moments. Your value does not change with the latest review or the passing comment of a stranger. It is grounded solely in the quality of your character and the integrity of your actions. Epictetus provides the clearest guidance on this, advising his students to remember that it is not the person who speaks harshly who troubles you, but your own judgment about what they have said. Their words are just sounds, your assessment gives them power. Consider an artist unveiling a new piece of work. One critic praises its bold innovation, while another dismisses it as confusing. If the artist's sense of self is tied to this feedback, they are tossed on a sea of conflicting opinions, their confidence rising and falling with each new review. But if they see both praise and criticism as simple data points, the picture changes entirely. The challenging critique might contain a single, useful observation about color, contrast they can choose to learn from, while the glowing praise is a pleasant sound that does not alter their disciplined commitment to their next project. Their worth as an artist remains constant, rooted in their dedication to their craft, not in the noisy reactions it provokes. Bring to mind a recent critical comment you received, perhaps from a colleague or even a family member. Feel the initial sting of it once more. Now, gently separate the emotional reaction from the content of the message itself. Ask yourself, was there any factual, useful feedback within the delivery? A single grain of truth about a missed timeline or a communication style that could be clearer. That grain is the only part that belongs to you. The rest, the tone, the frustration, the personal judgment, is simply noise you can choose to leave behind. By holding this calm mirror up to the words of others, you reclaim the only opinion of you that ultimately matters, your own. The day's final quiet moments hold a hidden power for your growth, a space where the noise fades and real learning begins. Steady progress in the Stoic way depends not just on how you act in the moment, but on your willingness to look back with gentle honesty. The ancient Stoics built this reflection into their daily rhythm with a practice known as the evening review, a dedicated time to examine the events of the day without judgment or self-condemnation. Seneca describes his own nightly ritual in his work on anger, writing, "When the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day and go back over what I have done and said. I hide nothing from myself, I pass nothing by." This was not an exercise in guilt but in clear-sighted learning. To begin your own review, find just 5 minutes of stillness tonight. Start by asking yourself a simple, structured set of questions. First, what is one thing I did well today, where I managed to apply a Stoic principle like patience or wisdom? Perhaps you paused before sending a reactive email, or you consciously reframed a minor inconvenience as a chance to practice resilience. Acknowledge that small victory. Next, with the same calm curiosity, ask where you might have fallen short of your own standards. Did a moment of frustration lead you to speak harshly? Did you waste energy worrying over something outside your control? The goal here is not to punish yourself, but to identify the gap between your knowledge and your action, seeing it simply as a point for improvement. Finally, look forward. What one specific thing will I do differently tomorrow? This turns reflection into a practical plan, a gentle commitment to close that gap in your next encounter. This nightly conversation with yourself is how you turn daily experience into lasting strength. An archer draws the bowstring with focused intention, their entire world narrowing to the target ahead. They can control the strength of their pull, the steadiness of their hand, and the moment they choose to release the arrow. Yet a sudden gust of wind, a shift from the distant mark, these final factors lie entirely beyond their command. The Roman statesman Cicero, in his work on Ends, beautifully captured this Stoic analogy, explaining that the wise person, like the skilled archer, must concentrate all their effort on doing the best they can, while accepting that the ultimate result is not theirs to decide. This is the very essence of aiming true in life. Your success is not measured by whether the arrow strikes the bullseye, but by the quality of your aim, the virtue you pour into the attempt itself. Think of the dedicated job seeker, a scenario so many can relate to. They spend weeks refining their resume, researching the company, and practicing their responses. They walk into the interview room having done everything within their power to present their best self. This is their aim, their virtuous effort, and it is entirely within their control. Yet the final decision, the internal candidate they did not know about, the shifting priorities of the hiring manager, these are the unpredictable wins. Not receiving an offer does not mean their aim was poor. It simply means the wind blew differently that day. Their worth and their effort remain intact and valuable, ready to be applied to the next opportunity. So bring to mind your own primary pursuit right now. Are you exhausting your mental energy staring at the distant target, anxiously waiting to see if your arrow hits? Or are you channeling that same energy into the calm, deliberate work of aiming well, of ensuring your own actions are true, regardless of the final outcome? That peaceful clarity you seek is not the absence of feeling, but a profound freedom from being ruled by those feelings. The Stoics called this state Apatheia, a concept often misunderstood as cold indifference. In truth, it is the opposite of apathy. It is the achievement of a calm and clear mind, unshaken by the storms of irrational passions. It is about correcting the judgments that create those storms in the first place. Marcus Aurelius guided himself with this very principle, writing in his Meditations that the soul preserves its own tranquility by refusing to form judgments that escalate disturbance. Your soul, your core self, has this innate capacity for calm. If you learn not to add fuel to the initial spark of an emotion, think of the last time you felt a sharp pang of envy, perhaps when a colleague received an opportunity you had wanted. That initial feeling is a natural flash, a piece of data, but then the mind often rushes in, weaving a story of unfairness, of your own inadequacy, of a world set against you. This narrative is the passion, the irrational attachment that clouds your vision and pulls you from your center. The practice of Apatheia begins in the space between that initial flash and the story you tell about it. The next time you feel a strong negative emotion begin to rise, whether it is fear, anger, or resentment, try this simple but powerful shift. Instead of becoming the emotion, choose to become its observer. Notice the physical sensation in your body, the tightness in your chest, or the heat in your face. Acknowledge the thought without following its thread. You are not the wave of frustration, you are the calm shore witnessing it rise and in time recede. This act of detached observation is how you reclaim your sovereignty from the passions, discovering a tranquility that was yours all along. Knowledge that never leaves the page is merely decoration. For the Stoics, philosophy was never an abstract debate to be won, but a concrete discipline to be lived, a continuous translation of insight into action. The true measure of your understanding is not what you can explain, but how you choose to behave when your plans are challenged. The teacher Epictetus, who demanded his students embody their lessons, put it with stark clarity. He said, "Do not explain your philosophy, embody it. Your actions declare your real beliefs far more loudly than your words ever could." This is the essential unity of philosophy and action, the bridge between knowing the path and actually walking it. You can intellectually grasp the idea that your reaction to a traffic jam is within your power while the traffic jam itself is not. But the real test comes when you are sitting in that unmoving car, feeling the tension build in your shoulders, the clock ticking toward an important meeting. In that moment, the philosophy becomes real. Will you clench the wheel and curse the universe, wasting your energy on the unchangeable? Or will you take a breath, accept the situation as it is, and use the time to listen to something worthwhile, turning the obstacle into an unexpected pocket of calm? The shift in perspective is only complete when it changes what you do. So here is your invitation to cross that bridge. Look back over the principles we have explored, from loving your fate to pausing your judgment. Choose just one insight that resonates most deeply with you right now, then make it tangible. If you choose the view from above, your action might be to physically step outside tonight and look at the stars for 2 minutes when a problem feels overwhelming. If you choose the idea of loving your fate, your commitment could be to write down one recent challenge and list 3 ways it is quietly creating space for something new. Do not let this be another idea you simply agree with. Let it be a specific action you take this week, a single step that turns understanding into a lived truth. Steady growth is built on the quiet rhythm of routine, not the fleeting spark of inspiration. The profound shifts in perspective we have explored only take root when they become part of your daily life, a consistent practice as regular as breathing. This is how you move from understanding these ideas in your mind to living them in your actions. The Stoic teacher Musonius Rufus emphasized this, stating that virtue is not just a matter of theoretical knowledge, but a craft that requires constant practice and exercise, just like medicine or music. You would not expect to play a beautiful symphony after one lesson, and your character deserves the same patient, daily cultivation. Start small and build a simple structure that feels sustainable. In the morning, before the day's demands rush in, take just 5 minutes of quiet. Use this time to set a clear intention, focusing on the bedrock principle of the dichotomy of control. Mentally walk through your upcoming day and identify 1 or 2 challenges you anticipate. For each one, consciously separate what will be within your power from what will not. Your own preparation, your attitude, your effort, these are your domain. The traffic, your boss's mood, the final outcome, you can release your grip on these. This morning meditation is your mental preparation. As you move through your day, your primary practice is cognitive distancing. When a strong feeling arises, that initial flash of frustration or worry, make it your habit to pause and name it. Silently tell yourself, this is just my initial impression. Create that small, vital space between the event and your reaction. This is not a grand, time-consuming exercise, but a momentary check-in, a recalibration of your perspective in real time. Then, as the day winds down, dedicate another 5 minutes to an evening review. Look back with a gentle, objective curiosity. Ask yourself, where did I manage to apply a Stoic principle today? Perhaps you successfully reframed a minor obstacle, or you paused before sending a reactive message. Acknowledge that small victory. Then, with the same calm honesty, note one moment where you fell short of your aim. The goal is not self-criticism, but clear-sighted learning, identifying the gap between your knowledge and your action to close it tomorrow. Your challenge is to design your own minimalist Stoic routine for the next 7 days. It does not need to be complex. Perhaps it is just the morning intention and the evening review. Maybe you focus solely on cognitive distancing during your daily interactions. Choose the 1 or 2 practices that resonate most and commit to them with gentle consistency. This daily structure is how you build your inner resilience, one thoughtful step at a time. This entire journey reveals a single, powerful truth: that steady growth does not come from a magic trick, but from a collection of mental disciplines you can practice for a lifetime. Each principle we have explored, from viewing obstacles as the path to releasing what you cannot control, shares a common thread. They all ask you to change how you see the events of your life. By shifting your perspective, you fundamentally change your experience, turning daily friction into the very material that builds an unshakable resilience. The Roman philosopher Seneca offered a beautiful summary of this entire process, writing that the person who has aligned their life with reason and nature is like a calm harbor, sheltered from the stormy seas of external events. This peace is not a distant dream, but the natural result of seeing the world as it truly is and choosing your response with wisdom. Do not mistake this for a quick fix you master in a week. This is a lifelong project, a continuous practice of refining your character day by day through every challenge and quiet moment. The tools are now in your hands. We would love to hear which single principle resonated most deeply with you on your own path. Share your choice in the comments below, and if you are ready for more practical wisdom, subscribe to continue this journey together.